But I think that in using consensual as a modifier for relationship, you're taking it beyond the, do I agree to have this relationship or do I disagree to have this relationship? You more than yes or no, this is going to be a theme.
I see where you're going here. Yeah.
And into, if a relationship is consensual, it allows people, encourages people, maybe even requires people to feel free and safe and able to be their authentic selves and to be able to communicate in the ways that they need.
Because in a way, like, you can go back to that really simple dictionary definition of like agreeing to something, because can you really agree if you don't feel free enough and safe enough? You know, so like, if you feel under some kind of pressure to have sex, you know, if you're in a relationship where like there's so much social pressure that you ought to be sexual in that relationship that you're kind of going along with it to feel like you're being normal, are you really agreeing consensually to sex? I don't think so. So I would think, you know, in a way, feeling free enough and feeling safe enough is what you need in order to be able to say yes, no, or maybe. And to tune into yourself and know what's a yes, no, or maybe, and to be able to articulate that to the other person. Like, again, whether that's about anything.
Is the idea that you just said, to tune into yourself. Right. Because I think a lot of people, and this is what I'm really excited about for this weekend, is digging into the nuance of consent and sort of picking that apart for people, because I think people understand the concept of, well, if they say yes, it's consent. And if they say no, it's not consent. But all that middle bit can be very confusing. And
I agree. And I think we often think about coercive relationships or abusive relationships as the opposite of consensual. And what we tend to think about there is sexual and physical abuse. But there's also emotional, you know, and that can be just as damaging, and it can be just as coercive or controlling and non-consensual. So first of all, need to put that in the package, and then we need to see it as like quite a complex spectrum, rather than just like, here's the abusive ones over here or the coercive ones and everything else is consensual. And I would say it's vital for us all to think about consent in all our relationships, because it's just really easy to treat people non-consensually, whether that's just, you know, this as simple as, you know, give grandma a hug when the kid doesn't want to, or, you know, do you want to come to the pub tonight? And the person says no, and you're kind of like, oh, go on. You know, it's just so normalized to treat people non-consensually. And like, we might, you know, in the kink world, we're really, really thinking carefully about it in terms of kink play, right? But we might not think about it so carefully in terms of vanilla sex, perhaps, you know, or we might all be trying to think about it pretty carefully in terms of sex, so we don't assault somebody or abuse somebody in terms of sex. But we really have to think about it on all those levels, physical and emotional as well as sexual, I would say.